Malcolm called for churches and civil rights organizations to form a united front with the Muslims against police brutality.
Let us remember that we are not brutalized because we're Baptists. We're not brutalized because we're Methodists. We're not brutalized because we're Muslims. We're not brutalized because we're Catholics. We're brutalized because we are black people in America. I'm telling you, they came out of those cars and we have enough witnesses to hang them with their guns smoking. Chief Parker knows this, Mayor Yorty knows this, and every police official in the city knows that. They didn't fire no warning shots in the air. They fired warning shots point blank at innocent, unarmed, defenseless Negroes. As I say, 2 of the brothers were shot in the back. Another was shot in the shoulder. Another was shot, 2 of them were shot, excuse the expression, through the penis. Let me tell you something, and I'll tell you why you say we hate white people. We don't hate anybody. We love our own people so much they think we hate the ones who are inflicting injustice against them.
Patrolman Donald Weiss, the officer who killed Ronald Stokes, testified that he knew Stokes was unarmed, but that Stokes had raised his hands in a menacing way. The all-white coroner's jury deliberated 23 minutes and found the death a justifiable homicide. 14 Muslims were then ordered to stand trial on assault charges. 11 would be found guilty and sentenced to prison.
We were people that said, never be the aggressor, but if someone attack you, we do not teach you to turn the other cheek. There were Muslims who were not from the East Coast, but from other parts of the country that was actually ready to go out there and kill those police officers, even though they may have been killed in the process of doing it. But that's how strong the attitude of Muslims was against those brothers just being shot like that.
The conflict at the Los Angeles mosque brought to the surface the growing differences between Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad. The messenger insisted Allah would avenge Stokes' death, but Malcolm demanded justice in the courts.
If it were possible for them to get a fair trial, there would be no necessity for a trial at all. These are the victims of police bullets, and you don't take the victim in court as a criminal. You take the one who shot the victim in court, and it is the police who should be on trial here in Los Angeles.
Malcolm began to talk less and less about God was going to get rid of the Caucasian, and he began to talk about how we were going to be able to bring them to justice and make them guilty, and that they are guilty according to the law of the land, which was not our argument at all. Our argument was that we were a divine people and that we were to be protected and finally delivered, put in a seat of authority by Allah. That was our teaching at that time.
To avoid further confrontations with city authorities, Elijah Muhammad summoned Malcolm to a meeting at the messenger's home.
Elijah Muhammad told him very definitely, if you had reacted the way you should have reacted, if you'd had more faith in Allah, Ronald Stokes would be alive. That was it. It really gave him an upbraiding. And Malcolm said nothing about, well, there was nothing we could do or anything of that sort. He just listened.
Mr. Muhammad told him is that's one man that we lost. I never did tell you that we weren't going to lose anyone, because that's the way it is when you're building a nation. He said they were wrong. But if I send my followers out there to do battle with those people in L.A., either undercover or on top of the cover, they will get slaughtered, and I'm not going to do that. And Malcolm didn't like that.
Malcolm had always said, Muslims don't back down. In Harlem, he now had to explain what happened in Los Angeles.
Ronald Stokes was not the least among the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was one of the highest. He was the secretary of our Los Angeles mosque. And as we explained in that rally on May, many of you thought that we should go right on out then and make war on the white man. You wanted to do it yourself, didn't you? Didn't you? You wanted some action then, didn't you? Because you don't like the idea of white people shooting black people down, do you? And you're ready to do something about it, aren't you? We know you are. And the white man should be thankful that God has given the Honorable Elijah Muhammad the control over his followers that he has, so that they can play it cool, calm, and collected, and leave it in the hands of God. This was explained.
In the months following the Los Angeles incident, Malcolm's faith in the messenger was further tested by rumors about Elijah Muhammad's private life.
Once a month, he would go to Chicago to take money to Elijah Muhammad. And he would always go to the side door. And this particular day, when he got to the side door, there were 3 young ladies. They were knocking and bamming on the door. Open the door, we need money for food, our children don't have this or that or the other. He immediately felt that, number one, he didn't belong there.
Malcolm had long dismissed stories that Elijah Muhammad had fathered 8 children with 6 of his secretaries. Now he approached the messenger's son, Wallace, to confirm what he had seen.
So I told him, yes, I said, I know about that. I said, you can see things, but you don't want to see it, so you just blot it out your mind. I said, I'm aware of secretaries having that kind of relationship with my father, being there with their children. I said, I've seen him take their children, and somewhere in my conscience, I'm sure it was registering that was his family, but I never accepted it to deal with it in my mind. Never did I accept to deal with it in my mind.
Officials in the nation accused Wallace Muhammad of starting rumors and conspiring against his father.
The charge that I gave Malcolm information on my father's domestic situation is true, but only after Malcolm had already told me that he witnessed that situation.
It gives me great pleasure and an honor and a privilege at this time to introduce to you and present to you the messenger of Allah, your and my beloved leader and teacher, the most honorable and humble Elijah Muhammad.
Malcolm had submitted himself to Elijah Muhammad as his spiritual leader and never tried to see anything else. And the things that he tried to put into practice himself, he thought were also being practiced by his leader. And when he found out differently, it just took all the wind out of his sails.
In public, the 2 men continued to embrace. In private, suspicion had replaced faith. Their relationship was further complicated by Elijah Muhammad's failing health.
Malcolm's popularity naturally grew. Number one, Mr. Muhammad was sick. He had bronchitis. So Mr. Muhammad, he only went to large public meetings, maybe once a year, twice a year. That was it. All the rest